make sure to follow us on Instagram at Whistlethrowers. It's a great way to interact with our show. Our DMs are always open for questions, topic discussions, and more. You will be able to find our new episodes and other announcements there.
The reason why the Nuggets were so good is because they were actually healthy for once.
Thanks for tuning back into the Whistlethrowers podcast. This is Jack Mubarak, joined by
Jack Slaymaker.
Aiden's not here. He'll be on his way soon, hopefully. So, big news in the NBA. Dame has officially been traded to the Bucks in a blockbuster deal, 3-team trade, sending him to the Bucks, DeAndre Ayton to the Trailblazers, and the Suns get Jusuf Nurkic, basically.
Yeah,
that was like the big pieces that were moved. There were a lot of picks and other players moved around.
Yeah.
But I guess question to open off, is this the best duo in the NBA?
Yeah, this is definitely the best duo in the NBA, talent-wise. I don't know if there's another duo right now that can compete with them. We've seen LeBron and AD had it for a little bit, but they kind of fell off too. But I think that they've secured it right now. And obviously we need to see them on the court, but I just don't see how these players don't mix well together. Giannis is a guy who is going to be better when you spread the floor for him. I'd like to see them in pick and rolls. I'd like to see Giannis off the ball even. And Dame is going to be Dame. We know that. That's for sure. And I can't wait to see how good Middleton lights it up when Dame is spreading the floor out for him. And you said best duo. We could even go best trio. They probably have the best trio in the NBA as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you could definitely... I might go Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday.
Maybe. And another one might be Booker, Durant, Beal now in Phoenix.
Yeah, that too.
But I don't think they have a duo better than
duo.
Dame, Giannis. Yeah.
I think potentially Brad Beal and KD could be up there, though.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm putting him over Devin Booker.
Yeah, I agree for now. Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you see any team possibly competing for like a spot in the finals from the East side other than Boston or the Bucks? And if not, who do you think wins in that 7-game series?
I think the only team that can compete with those two is Miami. I actually believe Miami can pull it out over either of those two. And I strongly believe that. I believe that all three head-to-head, I think it's sort of a 50-50 toss-up. You know, I know the Bucks definitely have the most star power right now, and that tends to bode better for teams in the NBA playoffs. But I think obviously the Heat are the deepest out of those three. Top to bottom, I think that there isn't necessarily too much star power, but they have the role players to play above the Bucks and Celtics. But I don't know, there's so much at the top for those teams. I don't know what it will be like. But in a Bucks Celtics series, I think I don't know. It's so close. I think I would be leaning Bucks just because they have a little bit more.
Yeah, I would probably lean Bucks as well. Yeah. It is weird because I could see the Heat like somehow beating either one of those teams, and sure. I can't really like give a valid or logical reason to why. It's just like they do it. They do the impossible every year.
And I think Drew Holiday is perfect for Boston too.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that he will give them what they wanted Brogdon to give them.
Personally, I kind of think they gave up too much for him. But
I agree. I agree with that.
Do understand why they did that.
Because you want to win now. Yeah. They're in win now mode, obviously.
Aiden, thoughts on the new Eastern Conference?
It's really tough for a lot of teams. I mean, my thought has always been that the two teams are the Celtics and the Bucks, since everyone else is behind. And I mean, the Sixers, to me, they're not even close to being near those teams. And I understand that people are going to say the Heat, they just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're never a team to count out. But when it comes to star power, and especially now what the Celtics have done, bringing Drew Holiday to that team, there's no reason why the Bucks and the Celtics shouldn't finish as the top two teams in the East and both go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Agreed.
Barring injury, 1,000%.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously injuries could ruin it, and obviously don't know the chemistry that will go together. But I'm saying on paper right now, there's no reason why those two teams shouldn't finish top two.
In the West, it's a little more wide open.
Yeah.
I'm not really buying the Suns yet, just because it kind of looks like Brooklyn Nets-ish a little bit. But I would definitely lean towards the Warriors or Lakers at this moment.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you said Warriors because that's where I was leaning, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be unpopular. But I I know the Warriors had a little bit of a disappointment last year. Well, not a little bit. That was pretty disappointing for their standard. But I still think when you have Steph Curry and Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson showed that he has some left in the tank. Like I wouldn't count them out, and I would put them near the top for sure.
Yeah, I do really think they made a bad move getting Chris Paul, though. Like, that was...
I don't know.
I think it was the worst move that, like, the only bad or questionable move they had in that whole dynasty.
He might fit, though. I think, obviously, he's not going to get starting minutes. I think that him leading a second unit might be good. Like, I'll put it this way. When Chris Paul got traded from the Rockets to the Thunder, I thought he had nothing left in the tank, and I thought, Thunder are going to finish towards the bottom of the NBA, and that was the bubble year. And he had a great playoffs in that COVID season, and he showed that he has a lot more, made the finals. And I know last year should point towards doom for him, but I don't know. I wouldn't count him out. He's one of the best point guards of our generation. Like I don't think it's time to count him out.
Yeah, my only issue is the offense is insanely fast in Golden State. Mm-hmm. And he never was a fast player at all.
Right.
Like, even Houston was, like, they're speedy, but, like, it's nothing compared to Golden State.
You're definitely right on that, but I also will make this comparison, too. If you remember, back in the Warriors, like, three-peating days, first point guard off the bench was Sean Livingston, who was a master of the mid-range, and that's kind of where Chris Paul is. And his numbers dipped in the mid-range last year, but I think in a perfect system, maybe those numbers start to go up.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the possibility of that. I agree with you. I think the West is much more wide open than the East. The other thing, though, Chris Paul, just when it comes to injuries, I don't know if I trust him at this point in his career. Maybe it does work out for him, but I just don't see it at this point, just with all the injuries that he's dealt with already.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest weakness that I see in his game.
That's true. And he's dealt with that a lot recently. Yeah. And that, for an old player, that tends to get them off the rails. Like, I definitely see both sides of the argument for sure.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we disrespected the Nuggets because none of us brought them up for the West. But
I have a point about the Nuggets. Like, the thing that scares me with them, and I think it's obvious they'll contend. Like, I think that's kind of why we forgot to bring them up. But at the same time, I'm kind of nervous picking them because I feel like they played the perfect playoffs last year, and I'm not sure if their formula in the playoffs last year is sustainable. I'll put it that way. And when teams are gunning for you, that can drop you off more.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about health when it comes to both the Bucks and the Celtics. The reason why the Nuggets were so good is because they were actually healthy for once.
Yeah, that's true.
Jamal Murray playing with Jokic, I think that they're one of those unstoppable duos, but Murray needs to be healthy.
I agree. I definitely agree.
I hope that he can be. At this point, to me, now that he's recovered from all those injuries after those couple of years, to me, there's no reason why he can't.
Yeah.
He's still in his prime. So as long as he's healthy, as long as Jokic keeps playing the way that he is, which is a top 3 player in the NBA right now, maybe MVP next year with the way that the Sixers are probably going to fall off, there's no reason why the Nuggets can't run back.
Yeah, I will say the only thing about their playoff run is it wasn't really the most grind of a run. To be honest, like, if you're looking at who they played, like, first round, it was the Timberwolves. Who they played in the second round? It was
the Suns.
Suns, yeah. They were probably the most difficult matchup they faced.
Yeah, it was.
They got the Lakers, and they were like a free agency trade team, so like they had no time to like establish themselves together.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So that's why they swept them, probably. Right. Yeah. And the Heat, I always say this, they'll never win unless they get like a true center. Yeah. And like some size, and like they took advantage of that because they have like really big dynamic players on the Nuggets. So,
yeah, I agree. And I don't want to take anything away from them.
No, not at all.
Yeah, because like they outclassed their opponents. Like you make a good point with their road was not, and I don't want to say cakewalk because every road is hard and like these teams are always fighting super hard. But I agree with you. Like it wasn't a gauntlet. Like sort of with how the Warriors had to go through the West in those years. They always were playing the second best team really in the Western Conference Finals. And I don't think that was true with the Nuggets this year. I'm not even sure who was the second best team in the playoffs because it seemed like 2 through 8, like imploded at some point, and the Nuggets were the only team that didn't implode. And that goes for the whole playoffs. Like, you think about it, Boston imploded in the conference finals. Philly imploded in the second round. Miami imploded in the NBA finals. And you can go through the list. I mean, Memphis and Milwaukee imploded in the first round. And they were two of the top 4 seeds. So I agree with you there. And I'm not, again, like I said, Aiden brought up a good point with the injuries too. And this is the case for a lot of playoff runs. Things have to go perfectly for you. And injuries was another big part of that. You're right, Aiden.
So I think we covered all the points with the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you guys want to talk about James Harden coming back potentially?
I don't even want to give him the attention, to be honest. I know this isn't like some groundbreaking podcast, but
is that I'm surprised that he's coming back.
I agree with that.
I totally thought that he was going to sit out and wait for a trade to happen.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not expecting much from him this year. I'm not expecting much of the Sixers. They're probably good enough to make it to the second round of the playoffs just based on talent, but that doesn't mean anything. But I feel a little bit better only because this means that Harden's staying in enough shape that a trade is still possible.
Yeah.
Well,
If he sat out and wasn't trading, there's no way that he would have been traded, and we just wouldn't stuck with him for another year.
well, hold on. He has come back before at teams he's held out, and he's like thrown basketballs at teammates and like really came out of shape. So I think he's going to do something similar. And honestly, I don't think we should give him what he wants. I think we should be the team that makes him rot on his contract. Because we're not going to get anything from him. Like, I think he tarnishes legacy for real this time. Like,
I agree.
He forced out 3 years in 3 consecutive teams. Like, no one's going to fall for it again.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to get anything for him. So why don't we just give him a taste of his own medicine? Because honestly, like, I know I rag on the Sixers all the time. We're not going to win.
Yeah.
Like, just at least set an example to the league so it doesn't, like, ruin contracts moving forward. Because he's going to ruin contracts moving forward if we give him what he wants again.
I somewhat agree with you, but I think it's like, I know where you're coming from, but I feel like you can't run the team that way. Like, you can't run the team wanting to get back at people and things. Like, you need to cut the bait, because you're right, they're not going to win this year.
That is more his MO, though, getting back at people.
I know, yeah, and he's wrong on that. Like, he held out Ben Simmons for so long, and it kind of backfired. Like, the best you got was James Harden, and you probably could have got something that could help you a little more, I'll say, and not cause so much drama. But for the Sixers, I feel like you need to cut the bait with him, and you're not going to win this year. I mean, there's just not enough on the team right now, but so you need to set your sights on 2024, in my opinion, because you're not out of the water, you know.
Yeah. And they don't have the draft capital either.
Right. Or the cap space, yeah.
How many years are we out of a first round pick?
This year was 1. I want to say there's 2 left, but I could be wrong about that.
I'm not even really worried about the draft. I feel like they need to add in free agency and moving things around, moving contracts around, and clear something up, like clear some space up for you. Because although cap can look bad one year, like literally the very next year, it can look completely different. So I think Morey needs to start maneuvering the cap. And I hate to draw the comparison because Philly, but you need to do it like Howie Roseman. It's 2 different sports, but the way that guy maneuvers cap and basically always creates wormholes for him to get out of bad situations, you need to take a page out of that book.
Yeah. I just don't understand the hype around Daryl Morey. I never did. Like, he really never did anything remarkable.
Yeah, well, analytics nerds love him. Yeah,
because he's one of them. But, like, I don't understand, like, why we keep him around. Like, he didn't even do anything on Houston, really.
Yeah. The Sixers front office is in shambles. I mean, and it's been in shambles for a while. And literally the only reason that it has been masked up is because of Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler for that year and so on and so forth. Like, the players have outplayed what they should, in my opinion. Like, this front office is in complete dismay, and it has been like that for a while.
Yeah. And Josh Harris, like, it seems like he completely shifted all his attention to the Commanders.
It's sad. It really angers me because, like, why doesn't he show that much care for our team? You know?
He's also from the DC
area. Yeah, I get it, but come on, dude.
I understand that, but yeah, it is definitely frustrating because it's him and Comcast in the city of Philadelphia that just do not care.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like,
I think it's frustrating when you have teams that are really, really good and then see teams that are really, really bad.
Yeah.
This is happening all over sports.
Yeah.
In sports-driven cities where you just have owners that just care about money as the top, and then loyal fans feel screwed over, and then they rightly do feel screwed over because they basically are, and it's just not right.
Like, why couldn't he have bought the Wizards if he's from the DC? No one would care.
Yeah,
no one would care if he did the same thing over there.
And it's like, Aiden brings up a great point, too, because, dude, the road you're going down is Oakland Athletics territory. Because, I mean, the Oakland Athletics were good in 2020 and 2019. And, like, now look at them. They're in the basement, and there's, like, no way out right now. And, like, you're going down that path when you have an owner that doesn't care. Like, go through the championship teams. They have owners who care. Look at the Nuggets owner. Like, he was on the court celebrating with them and, like, celebrating with the fans. Like, there's a real connect there. Like, I'm sorry, you have to pull pages out of Success's book.
Yeah. What worries me isn't turning into the Oakland Athletics as much as the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, right.
Where you're just muddling around, you'll make the playoffs occasionally because you have enough talent to do it, but you never actually feel competitive like you're going to win a championship.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Oh, yeah.
Oakland, you know what they're doing, and you can say, look at how terrible we are. With Detroit, the fans there do not like the team. Like,
Yeah.
They think that the team isn't trying to be as good as they can be.
Yeah.
But you can say, look at the draft picks we got. Look at that, we're still making the playoffs. Like, we're doing enough to entice you, but not enough to win a championship. That's worse than just completely tanking.
Yeah, you're right. And, like, now, look, the Pistons get new ownership, they get a new GM, and it's like, things change. Like, they have a good young core now.
We could transition to the NFL now. There were a lot of crazy games this week. I want to start with the Dolphins at the Buffalo. I thought the Dolphins were going to come in and steamroll them just based off their performance last week, but
Agreed.
This was a Stephon Diggs show. 3 touchdowns, 6 receptions, 120 yards.
Yeah.
Like, they really shut him out. Josh Allen had 320 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
No picks.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be a dogfight for the top spot in that division.
Yeah. I have a point that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. And I got this from a guy on Twitter, Theo Ash. He brought up a really good point breaking down film for that game. The Bills' offense looks a lot different this year and in years past, because a lot of the times their offense looked like Josh Allen saving them from a broken down play and, like, using his legs, using his cannon to get them out of things. But on Sunday against the Dolphins, like, a lot of the plays looked on scripture, you know, and he was throwing via the coach telling him, this is your hot route. Like, I'm drawing up this so that this guy's going to be open. And it was like, it looked a lot smoother and cleaner rather than just mumbo jumbo and, like, Josh Allen having to make a play out of his back pocket. And, like, I think that bodes well for them. Like, if they are running plays that way and getting success that way, it's a lot harder to defend that. And that's a big problem they ran into was, like, in the playoffs, teams were like, just, you got to keep the top on them and keep everything in front of you. And it showed in the Bengals game. They only scored 10 points. Like, they were terrible. And in some of the Chiefs games, when you get into a shootout, it starts to favor the defense a little bit. But that performance on Sunday it was amazing. Like, that was a coaching masterclass, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will agree, but I will say if that's, like, the kind of offense they're playing, that Josh Allen will take them out of games in the future.
Maybe.
Because you saw week 1 with the Jets, like, he completely took them out of that game.
Yeah.
So if he's going to have his routes and he's just, like, not making the right throws and just completely overthrowing like he did week 1, then, like, we're going to see more of the same, in my opinion.
I think the most impressive thing about the Bills is their defense, honestly.
Yeah.
They shut down Tyreek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, yeah, I mean, the Dolphins scoring 20 points, only 6 in the second half. That's really hard to do considering that they got 70. And I know that the Broncos are not a good football team, but still, they got 70 one week and then 20 the next. That just shows that the Bills are ready for this game. Yeah, Jack, like you said, Tyreek pretty much completely shut down.
Yeah.
He did average 20 yards per reception, but no touchdowns. Didn't really get anything that long. Forced Tua to get an interception and held him under 200 yards. The rushing game got a little bit for the Dolphins, but not that much. So, yeah, I thought that this was more of a statement of what Buffalo's defense could do more than the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. Their D-line dominated, and seeing that from Buffalo, because in years past, their defensive line has been shaky, and seeing domination on the defensive line, that's a plus sign for Buffalo, definitely.
Now they're out Tre'Davious White for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. But again, getting that production from your D-line, you can make up for a cornerback loss like that.
Mm-hmm. I do want to shift over to the Trash Bowl. So Justin Fields, for the first time in his career, threw over 300 pass yards.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it out loud, but I was leaving the gym one day and I was thinking he might not do it at all this season, and he did the very next game.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how the Bears are gonna proceed with him, because you gave him DJ Moore, who went off, but you're giving him no protection. There's nothing on the defense. There's just really nothing to build around him.
Yeah.
And he can play completely out of his mind, and they will still lose to one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he played well. The one pick is the one bad mark on that game for Justin Fields, but how demoralizing does that have to be, where you played terrible the first 3 weeks and then you finally get a good game in and you blow a 21-point lead at home? It's got to be deflating for that locker room.
Yeah, that interception was just horrendous.
It really, I mean...
I couldn't even, wrap my mind about what just happened. The Bears had this game wrapped up.
Yeah.
And you give it away like that is just awful. And the Bears, this was, in my opinion, their best chance to win. And they played, like you guys said, for the majority of the game, they played great.
Yeah.
Justin Fields looked like exactly the quarterback that was. Herbert had over 100 rushing yards. The team just played together.
Yeah.
And to lose that, I don't know how you come back from that, especially because of their start. If you're the Bengals, who are 1-3, and you can play better than that, and you have a game like this, yeah, it sucks, but you can come back and feel okay. If you're the Bears, you haven't had a win yet. This is your chance.
Right.
I feel like the next week is going to be a blow. I mean, they're playing the Commanders on Thursday, so you're playing a short week against a team that almost just beat one of the best teams in the NFL, the Eagles.
Yeah, and keep going.
I think the Commanders might blow this game out of the water.
I'm happy you brought that up too, because we can transition into that game, the Eagles and Commanders. The Commanders really proved something to me, because I went on, I don't know, was that after the first week or second week? I don't remember, but I said that they have not shown me anything to put them above.
It was the first week.
Yeah, they haven't showed me anything to put them above New York. I mean, they have blown New York out of the water so far, and it's funny, their records are just one win off. The Commanders are 2-2, or Giants are 1-3. But Sam Howell showed a lot in that game. A lot of people were nervous for the Eagles' defense. I don't think that I'm too nervous. Their D-line didn't play well, and I don't think that will happen again. I think it shows more for Sam Howell that he was nearly perfect in that game, and it was literally 2 or 3 throws that could have gone the other way for him, and they could have won that game. He showed me a lot. The defense still is shaky. They have names, but it's just they're not putting it together pretty much. And again, they did play one of the top offenses in the league, but they've consistently been giving up 30. So that offense, I really like that direction it's heading. With Bieniemy, Howell looks really good. McLaurin, Dotson, they're using Curtis Samuel in a really good way. Brian Robinson runs with power. Antonio Gibson is a great 1-2 punch. Offensively, I think this is the first time I'll say Washington might be better offensively than defensively.
Yeah, I was really surprised too, because I don't remember who the Commanders played last week. Was it the Cardinals?
The Bills.
The Bills.
Yeah, they got
Sam Howell was
terrible
in that game. And I was like, there is no way he's going to come in against Philly's defense and not stink it up even more than that. And he didn't even throw a pick last week.
They made adjustments. Bieniemy looked really good. He dialed up a great game plan.
Yeah, and that's what I thought was really huge, just coming back from that loss and playing the Eagles that close in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Like, the biggest thing about Sam Howell that I saw watching this game was how he moved around the pocket. Because there was a lot of times where that offensive line just did not hold as was expected, and he escaped at least 3 sacks.
Yeah.
If not more. So I think that his pocket presence is just so high for guys who only have 5 career starts. And I think that that's just learning week from week from going from Buffalo to Philadelphia and just learning how defenses are going to play you with that athleticism. And I feel like, in my opinion, I have not been this excited about a Commanders quarterback since RG3.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins was great. In his time of watching, not great, but he was like, what Kirk Cousins is, which is a really good for what Washington's had at quarterback. But for a young quarterback, for them, not this exciting since RG3.
Yep. Definitely. And the Commanders, I feel like, haven't had this much hope since RG3. Like, even they won the division twice since that 2012 season. It was 2015 and 2020, but I'm pretty sure they won both those times at 2015 9 wins and 2020 7 wins. So, there was never any hope. You just won a terrible division. And now, Howell, he looks like the real deal. I mean, especially with a coach like Bieniemy.
So I want to transition into the Bengals and Titans game. So I think it was last episode I asked you guys if the Bengals should panic yet, and you guys shut me down right away. But now, 1 week later, let's reevaluate.
Well, I feel like they're rushing Burrow. Burrow does not look healthy at all, and I still wouldn't be in panic mode. I don't think they can still make the playoffs. I think the Ravens are clear to win the division now, but the Bengals can still make the playoffs. I wouldn't panic, but you have to get right, and it has to be next week. They need to put up 20, 24 points.
And if they don't?
Panic. Yeah, then you panic, because starting 1-4 in your first 5 is nearly insurmountable. 2-3 isn't, you're not out of the woods at all. You can really turn your season around.
I'm on the verge of panicking because you only scored 3 points in 2 games, both playing the Browns and Titans, who are not known to have elite defenses like that, at least for what the Bengals should be doing offensively.
Yeah, Derrick Henry threw a touchdown on them.
Yeah,
it was just a bad game. You're playing Arizona, who has had wins that they weren't supposed to have. And I think that they could do it again against Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's right.
And here's the thing. Cincinnati has 2 games left to go by. They got Arizona and they got Seattle. You lose both those games, your season's over.
Yeah.
So you need to right the ship immediately. I think they have to get to 3-3. Maybe you lose one of the games or 2 and 4 and feel okay, but to me, I think they need to get to 3-3. They're not totally winnable games. Like I said, these teams are really, really good for what people thought they were going to be. But if you're Cincinnati and you had all these Super Bowl aspirations, you got to win these games.
Right.
Get the 3-3 before the bye, and then you play San Francisco and the Bills. So if you're not 3-3 before those 2 games after the bye, you're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's really difficult too.
There's no shot you make the playoffs, actually, if you lose these 2. And to put it bluntly, they're losable games. Arizona and Seattle are losable games for them, especially for what they've shown. Arizona has been playing teams really tough. They played San Fran really tough, not down to the wire, but they were within striking distance in the 4th, and San Fran pulled away with a pretty much game-sealing drive. And Seattle is, they're nothing to laugh at. They're probably a playoff team, and right now you aren't a playoff team, so that you're going to be an underdog in that game. Do you know where that's being played?
Well, first game is in Arizona, second game is Seattle, so the schedule is more favorable than if they were playing at home at home against Arizona and away versus Seattle. So that part works out for them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Me personally, I just don't think it's their year. Burrow's not healthy. I don't think they will make the playoffs this year. I just think that the wild card spot's going to go to the other divisions this year. I do want to move into the Seahawks and Giants game because we mentioned Geno and the Seahawks earlier, but
Yeah.
a thing that's been on my mind recently is, and I didn't even realize that it was a controversy until like yesterday, but everyone's mad about the whole tush push in Philly.
Yeah.
And if you watched the game last night, the Giants in Seattle, Daniel Jones tried it and it failed miserably.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, the whole argument is it's impossible to stop. Like, it isn't. It's just if you do it right with the right people, it works.
Yeah.
And, like, imagine if the Chiefs did it. Like, no one would care. No one would care. It's just that Philly does it, and no one really likes Jalen Hurts or, like, the Eagles in general outside of the region. So, like, it's just on my mind, and I hear guys like Javon Curse, like, talking about banning it. Like, it's an illegal football play. Like, grow up.
Yeah, and there were clowns like Stephen Shea on Barstool and Chris Sims, who somehow still has a job at NBC. They're clowns saying they would like to see Jalen Hurts get hurt for that play to get shut down. It's a complete joke. It's a complete and utter joke. And
it's not even he's not the reason it works. Right. It's the offensive line.
And these are the same people that complain about how bad Philly fans are, and then they turn around and do that when Philly is succeeding. It's a complete joke. It's their total clown. It's disgusting, actually, that they have platforms after that. It's utterly disgusting. If you ever wish injury on a player, no matter the team, no matter the sport, you are a scumbag. Like, there's no other way to put it. And people like Chris Sims, and I quote, saying that he would tell his team to kill Jalen Hurts. It's an utter joke. NBC should be embarrassed that guy still has a job. And the people complaining about the tush push, they need to give it up. It's not going anywhere. And it's not an unfair play. It's not. We just run it better than anyone ever has.
Yeah, Micah Parsons actually came to Philly's defense. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I saw that. And they need to get over it. They need to get over it.
My favorite thing to come out of it so far was Jordan Mailata mentioning, because people have said that's a rugby play, like, that's not a rugby play.
It's not.
And
I'm so glad you said that, Aiden.
If we're going to get technical about this, it's closer to a maul in rugby than a scrum. So everyone's saying that's a scrum. It's not.
Yeah.
But you need to know rugby to do that. And most of these people talk about it clearly do not care about rugby, do not follow it. There's a World Cup going on right now, and you're not seeing rugby plays. You can watch rugby really easily right now if you wanted to.
Yep.
So that's just like, and I'm totally with you guys about everything that Chris Simpson, like, that's not okay. But to me, like, that's just idiots being idiots.
Yeah.
That's whatever. You can actually educate yourself if you're going to be mentioning about this play and you refuse to. That almost irritates me more.
Yeah.
Because that's just blind ignorance and over stupidity.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I've heard that obviously a lot, that, it's a rugby play. And a beat writer that I follow for the Eagles went to a rugby game because he was in Scotland this past week, and he was like, that it's not a rugby play at all. And I'm glad you said that, because I was actually going to ask you if you thought it was similar to a rugby play. And
there's one play that's really similar to it, but the whole idea of a maul is you get a group of guys together and you're pushing about 5 meters to the goal, and if you get stopped, you have a guy that's trying to get the ball out so you can pass it out.
Right.
So, there's not really a play in rugby that's even close. Like, that's the closest thing. A scrum is not even, like, close to that, and honestly, scrums in rugby become almost useless, but that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not even close to the same play. And the way that Jalen does it, I think that it would still be successful if Goddard wasn't pushing into that.
I agree.
The offensive line is that good. If you were to say you want to get rid of the push, fine, absolutely. This play's still going to work 99 out of 100 times because of Jalen Hurts and because of Jason Kelsey and the rest of the offensive line.
Agreed. Yeah.
Where can we move after this? Is there... Oh, yeah. I want to talk about the Chiefs-Jets game. Zach Wilson looked like Tom Brady with legs for like 3 quarters.
It's kind of crazy how he just completely made that jump in a week. Like, he looked from the worst starting QB in the NFL week 3 against... Or was that week 2? No, it was week 3 against New England. Right? And he comes out this week and puts that on. Like, that, he played really well. I have a lot of respect for him.
So, I want to ask, do you think it's a fluke, or do you think that he could trend in this direction?
I think he could trend in this direction. I don't know if he can play that well consistently, but I think he can play at a level close to or similar to that.
I think it's a little bit of a, not
Yeah.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he can put it together. I hope he can. The Jets seem to think they could. Like, there's a reason why they kept him around when they signed Aaron Rodgers. And it's because they thought that he could be the one to replace Rodgers. So they still see something in him.
Yeah.
I haven't yet. I saw glimpses of it in the Chiefs game. Can he put it together all the time? That I don't know. Their schedule gets pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's been hard. It's going to get more challenging as it goes down. Because you still haven't played the Dolphins yet. So that's 2 games that are going to be really competitive. You got to play New England again.
Yep.
You got to play Buffalo again. You got to play more teams in the NFC East, which is a very competitive division outside the Giants. I think that we will be able to know by the end of the season whether or not the Jets want to keep him around next year when Rodgers comes back. To me, I don't think they're going to want to, but maybe he does put something together. I just need to see more before I say it's definitely a change rather than a fluke.
I agree. And I don't want to sound like I'm saying Zach Wilson can lead them to the playoffs either, because that's not the case. But I think Zach Wilson can keep them competitive, is what I'll say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's done that.
Yeah.
He hasn't blown games, but it's also because their defense is so good.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we said about Rodgers. If you put him in, there's no reason why that team can be Super Bowl contender. Now with Zach Wilson, there's no reason why they should get blown out in every game.
Yeah.
But they're not going to win unless the offense can put together a full game, which they almost did against Kansas City, and that's why it's so close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you actually bring up a good point there, like because he didn't necessarily he wasn't turning the ball all over the field against New England. Like he didn't lose them the game in that sense, but it was just like I feel like New England has his number. Like I think he sees ghosts when he plays New England. It's kind of weird. Like New England was trying to lose that game on offense. Yeah. I mean, they were turning the ball over.
They're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If we're talking about a team that's in trouble, like the Jets at least have the satisfaction of knowing they have Aaron Rodgers. The Patriots have nothing behind that joke.
Right. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Like Ramondre can't even do anything because like the line is so bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think Zach Wilson played his worst game this season already.
I think
he'll be better moving forward.
Right.
So that's what I'll say.
I agree.
Did you guys watch the Toy Story game?
That was hilarious. I didn't even know that was happening until after, so I didn't watch it. But
it was playing at work. Like the pre-passes animations were great, but as soon as like the ball was thrown, it was terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like.
I can't believe they did that. I was so surprised. That was really funny, though.
Yeah, I hope they do it moving forward. But like literally with Trevor Lawrence, like they would get perfect movements of him like dodging defensive linemen, but as soon as the ball left, it was terrible.
That's so funny.
I thought they did a good job. The graphics to me did a good job keeping up with the actual play on the field.
Yeah.
So that's what I was most nervous about. Yeah, there's going to be some animated glitches and stuff. You're not going to be perfect with something new like this. But as long as you can keep it relatively close, it's way more fun than just watching the scores on CBS, where you're waiting for it to load and the graphics sort of comes up where the ball is. So at least you get to see something like this. And honestly, I think that this could be not necessarily like you'll get something like this, but this could be a model of something like CBS, where you're not watching the game, but you're watching what's happening on the play. Or you like go back and see where the movements were.
Yeah.
Like I think that's an animation that some of these apps should look into.
Mm-hmm.
I actually agree with that. And the best part about it, too, was Slinky being the first down chain. So that was so funny. I loved that.
Before we could wrap up with the NFL, we could talk about the Green Bay and Lions game really quick. I don't want my computer to die because I want to get into baseball. But the Lions are legit. They're better than I thought they were going to be. Aiden Hutchinson's a top 10 player in the league, I think. Mm-hmm. I think this will be Jordan Love's worst game, too, this season.
I agree there. I don't think the Packers actually will play that bad again. I could see them knocking on the door for the playoffs. And yeah, the Lions, I'm not sure if I call them a legit contender. Like, can they beat Philly and San Fran? I don't think so. I don't think they've shown enough yet for that. But I think that they would be in a competitive matchup with both those teams, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to go with my early prediction and say that they're one of the teams that could potentially win the NFC.
Yeah.
And again, I know that Philly and the San Francisco right now are
Yeah, it's
No.
not a bad.
It's a game they probably should have won, but if that's your only loss right now, that's not a bad record. I mean, this will be an interesting game. In 2 weeks, they're playing Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I want to see what goes down in that game. Tampa Bay's looked a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
I really thought they were a potential. I sure thought they were like second, third team in the NFC South. They're looking really good.
Yeah.
Lakers have a resurgence. So that game could be a potential playoff wildcard match. That's one that I think people should keep an eye out for.
I actually agree with you, and I like Tampa looks solid as hell. Like I don't think that they'll be able to keep up a 3-1 pace. But like they look solid as hell. Like they're another team that's going to be knocking on the door of the playoffs.
Yeah. So I think that game will be really telling for those two teams which one sort of is a contender and which one's just sort of like middle of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, those are the two best teams behind Philly and San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah.
So we can move into baseball. We're recording this on Tuesday, so Wildcard weekend just started, or week. Did I butcher that?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're watching the Phillies live right now. Wheeler's going deep, and this is awesome because I don't like our bullpen at all.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this series, though?
The Phillies are the better team, but the Marlins are really gritty and tough, and that is scary in an MLB playoff series. So I don't think the Phillies are going to run away with it by any means.
I think these games will be really competitive.
Yeah.
One that I keep an eye out on that is sort of surprising to me, the Rangers beat the Reds.
Yeah.
In Tampa Bay. Like, the Twins won their game, but they were also the home team in that series. So, like, I'd be a little bit surprised if the Blue Jays don't win, but the Twins should have a little bit of advantage. I am very surprised that the Rangers lost.
Yeah.
The Rangers won and the Rays lost. I did not see that coming at all.
I actually said that too, Jack and Voucher.
Yeah.
I said the Rays, I thought we're going to sweep them, but no, the Rangers outclassed them a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who pitched today for them?
For Texas?
Yeah.
Do you know? I'm not sure. I can look it up real quick, though.
Montgomery today.
Yeah, okay. He's a good player.
Pitched really well.
Yeah.
6 hits, 7 innings, no runs, 5 strikeouts. It's just good numbers for him.
Yeah.
Tyler Glasnow was on the mound today. He really did not look good.
No.
He does that, though.
What's that?
He does that.
He does do that for sure. Like, his numbers have definitely been up and down this year. His win-loss record's not great. His ERA is fine. But I really thought that the Rays offense was going to carry them through
Yeah.
this series. And if your offense is just not available, and the way that the Rays pitching staff is set up, they need. I mean, obviously, if you get no run, you're not going to win. But you need some sort of offense. And it was just not there. They had Walls got 2 hits. Rizzo got 2 hits. They got a couple other guys who got 1, and that's your only offense.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were just getting like a bunch of hits. It's just 1 or 2 guys. That's not going to cut in the playoffs.
Yep, and it's got to be frustrating, too, because once Glasnow comes out, allowing those 4 runs, the bullpen shuts down the rest of the game. They don't give up another run. It's got to be frustrating that you at least didn't make that more of a ball game, especially at home, where like a crowd can kind of create a rally. That's got to suck. But I am actually more surprised by the Blue Jays Twins game because I didn't expect the Twins to really come out like that. I like the home run power. The kid hitting 2 home runs today, that's really positive for them because if you win the home run battle in a playoff game, you're going to win the game, and hitting home runs is important.
Yeah, I thought Lewis. I mean, he's only a rookie. To hit 2 home runs as a rookie in the playoffs is really, really a good sign for the Twins.
Yeah.
But yeah, like outside of him, there wasn't a whole lot. He hit all 3 RBIs, drove in all 3 runs,
Yep.
runs. So these are only offense right now. I'm assuming, in my opinion, they should be able to pick it up a little bit more. This Blue Jays team's a little dangerous, but they've fallen off at the end as well. And the Twins really hit their stride towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Their record was not like great compared to other teams that won their divisions. They still got under 90 wins. But to me, they played so much better in the second half that I can see them putting a little run together. I don't know if they're necessarily World Series qualified or even past the ALDS, but I think that this is a series that they can feel comfortable going into compared to where they were in like the middle of the season.
Yeah, I definitely hear you there. And like the Blue Jays, you brought up a good point that they've been like stumbling a little bit. And I think it's weird how with a lineup that good, you don't get to Pablo Lopez earlier than that, especially with the righty power they have. Like, I don't know, that was kind of surprising to me. I'm surprised Gossman didn't have a better start either. He was shaky.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add besides that.
Yeah.
I think that to me, this year's wildcard matches are equally, if not more exciting than last year. So I'm very excited to
I love it, yeah.
pay attention to both. Yeah, because I feel like even the Marlins getting in, like last year, it was the Mets Padres was a really exciting series.
Yeah.
Phillies Cardinals was all right, but again, the Cardinals just sort of fell off at the end a little bit there.
Yeah.
I feel like all these wildcard teams have come in as strong as they possibly can outside of Toronto.
Right.
But even Toronto still is a decent enough team where they can put a run together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Do you guys have anything else?
Nah, we're good.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're all dialed to watch the rest of this game. I'm gonna pack it up, and we'll see you next week.